Greetings people, welcome to another showdown video. This time with my friend Kadoya or Noah Fuchs, as you know him from the Arnhem Regionals. We're gonna talk about the team he used for the Salzburg Arena Cup. And without further ado, let's go into the team.
So for my Mega, I went with Mega Salamence. I think it's the most consistent and powerful Mega beneath Kangaskhan at the moment, and I went for Double Edge, Draco Meteor, Protect, and Earthquake for coverage against things like Heatran or Mawile, but Earthquake didn't deal a good amount of damage most of the time, and I never used it in the tournament actually. And for the spread, it's not a really creative one. I just went for max speed and max attack. So the strategy with my Salamence was basically to dish out huge amounts of damage with Double Edge and one-hit KO other Mega Mances with Draco Meteor.
Okay. What I also saw in your team was you had a Rotom-Wash with Electroweb, which is a really
exactly.
interesting move. Can you explain a little bit about your Rotom and why you chose Electroweb over Will-O-Wisp?
Well, basically, the core of my team was Salamence, Virizion, Rotom-Wash, and Entei. The Metagross and Sylveon were like for coverage, and since I didn't felt the need to go for a Thunder Wave or a Tailwind of my form of speed control, I just went for the Electroweb because I didn't need the Will-O-Wisp as often. As I would need the Electroweb, and Entei fulfilled my Will-O-Wisp support role. I think the benefit of Electroweb and Rotom-Wash is just that it's a huge surprise factor, and it gains a lot of momentum on your side. That was the main reason why I went for it, and it worked out quite fine. So the only things I had to be aware of were Pokemon with Lightning Rod, which I faced in my 5th round, and maybe Landorus were a bit of tricky, but I could deal with them in other ways. And for my Rotom, it's basically a standard Rotom. For the spread, I had enough special defense to live most of the Solar Beams and Specs Draco of Hydreigon, and Solar Beams from Charizard Y, of course. Enough defense to live a Play Rough from Mawile most of the time, 20 speed creep, and the remaining EVs were just pumped into special attack to dish out some damage with Thunderbolt and Hydro Pump as well.
Okay, before we go into your next Pokemon, Virizion, just a little question. How did you deal with other people setting up Tailwind? Because you didn't have any taunt on your team, and your speed control was just Electroweb.
It was very easy, really. I just led off with Salamence and Rotom-Wash, and since Salamence is such a fast Pokemon, and with my max speed and Jolly nature, I was able to outspeed most of the Pokemon. When, let's say, Suicune goes for Tailwind, I go for Electroweb and Protect or Double Edge something. The turn after I used the Electroweb, my Salamence would most likely be the fastest Pokemon on the field, and if not, I could just see it coming in the team preview, lead with something else like Virizion or Entei, and switch in my Salamence. So I get an Intimidate plus speed drop. I can Protect and get another speed drop. So people just didn't expect the Electroweb, and I could play around against Tailwind. And against Thunder Waves, and I had my next little trick, and it was Safeguard on Virizion. So against Pokemon like Thunderous, which threaten my Salamence quite a bit, or Sableye with Prankster, Will-O-Wisp, other Rotoms, stuff like that, I could just Safeguard and Protect. Like Protect Salamence, Safeguard with Virizion. I still have the Lum Berry if my opponent decides to Will-O-Wisp or Thunder Wave my Virizion. So I was safe against stats as well. And it worked out in most cases.
Okay.
So for my Virizion spread, it's nothing special really, just max attack, max speed and plus speed nature, 4 in HP. It's like a boring spread, but my Entei spread is a little more creative. Let's head on.
There were 2 questions I wanted to ask you about your team.
Oh, okay.
So I saw you had a lot of physical threats on your team. You had a Metagross, an Entei, a Salamence, and a Virizion. Some people opt to play Virizion specially with Giga Drain. Why wasn't this an option for your team?
I just didn't think about it really. I didn't consider Virizion as a special attacker. But I mean, looking at its special attack base, it's the same as its attack. But honestly, I felt like I really need the close combat. It deals a lot of damage to stuff that didn't done with against Pokemon who don't resist the close combat. It's a nice damaging tool, and I'm not sure if I would want to sacrifice it.
I can imagine. So, your Entei. Your Entei is a fairly interesting Pokemon. You had Substitute.
Yes.
You had 2 moves with not the highest accuracy, but it seemed to come through for you in a few rounds.
Well, to be honest, I couldn't imagine to perform that well in the tournament, like 3 or 4 days before. And I didn't even have a team, and I just played with the Salamence team on Showdown, and I built the Salamence team in Arnhem when I got to top 8, and the night before top 8 I was just nervous and I started messing around with some random Pokemon, and I ended up with this team. And after some minor changes I just used it on Battle Spot because I didn't want to play with my mobile team anymore. And I was insecure about the Entei because I was afraid of hitting Sacred Fire, don't get the burn, miss Stone Edge. But I got a lot of burns. I hit every Stone Edge and I didn't miss any Sacred Fire. So things turned out really well, and the Entei was just such a good Pokemon because if there was anything I would want to burn, I didn't need to go for the Will-O-Wisp. I could just Sacred Fire it, so it replaced the Will-O-Wisp and also dealt tons of damage, really, or a good amount of damage. Against Thundurus, I had the Stone Edge or other Pokemon with a flying type, and it just played out really well. And most of the time, the Entei became a threat because of the substitute, not because of its offensive pressure or bulkiness, really. It's like if I predict a switch or a double up into my Salamence, stuff like that, I just can protect or go for the substitute, and Entei behind the substitute is just so scary for to deal with, and it really won me games, and or it gave me so much momentum that it was hard for my opponent to play around it without getting burnt or a Stone Edge critical hit. So Entei was like a skill-based coin flip Pokemon. That's how you could call it.
That's fairly interesting. That's really good. I really like the idea of playing Entei. So you played a Spec Sylveon in Power Ground?
For the spread of Entei, I just...
oh yes, the spread, I'm sorry.
The speed was to outspeed max speed Jolly 70 base like Breloom or Bishop. So the strategy behind it was try to hit the sash on those 2 Pokemon, get the burn, and they faint in the same turn. For the HP investment, it was for the maximum leftovers recovery, and I could use 4 substitutes and still have some HP remaining, but it's just theoretical stuff. So basically, it gave me the maximum leftover recovery. For the defense, I wanted to be a 3-hit KO on Landorus Rock Slide. I think I'm not exactly sure, but I think that was my point for the defense. And the special defense were to live Scalds and Earth Power, stuff like that. The remaining EVs were just put into attack. So that's it for the EVs. But they worked out pretty good. Maybe I would drop some defense and raise the attack, because there were some KOs which I missed, but because I got the burn, they still fainted. So
now that's just the risk of playing.
Yes, I think so.
Playing with fire, you get easily burned. That'd be a cool nickname choice. Okay, back to the Sylveon. You had a spec Sylveon, obviously with Pixilate, a Hyper Voice, an HP Grant, a Psyshock, and a Shadow Ball. So did that thing actually come through for you? Wasn't it expectable, predictable?
Well, the Sylveon was, to be honest, Sylveon was the Pokemon I never used, or if I used it, it didn't really do that much. Also in testing or playing on Battle Spot, it just made my matchup a lot easier against Trick Room, and also Sylveon was there to put pressure on my opponent. And if I got an opponent who had nothing against Sylveon, it still did a good job. And since I didn't have any better Pokemon on my mind to use for this slot, I just stick with Sylveon. And in the tournament, actually, it did nothing special. But outside of the tournament, it won me maybe 2 or 3 battles. And I don't think that I will play Sylveon in the future. But until now, or for the last 2 weeks, it did a good job, and I'm okay with Sylveon.
Okay, because
I'm not a fan of it.
I thought because Sylveon has a quite low base speed with 60, where most megas are around 120, like Salamence, or 110, or even 100. That's quite high. Sylveon is actually not that good without a proper speed control, and with Rotom-Wash being your only speed control, Sylveon was kind of an expendable member of the team. So you had a Metagross. At the beginning, I actually thought it was a Mega Metagross, but then I realized you had an Assault Vest on that thing. So we actually came up with that idea together, but you didn't tell me before the tournament that you were actually playing it, and I was really surprised how it came through. It was a great member.
I didn't tell you. Okay.
Just explain how good that thing actually is.
Well, for the last slot, I wanted something slow, but with access to priority. In the past few weeks, I had H/Slash in this slot for some time, but I did never use the White Guard, and I'm not a fan of H/Slash anymore, since I wanted to distance myself from Pokemon, which I used to play in 2014 a lot. So I tried to figure out which Pokemon could give me a good coverage, and I knew I wanted a Steel Pokemon, a Steel type, and after thinking about Arnhem and my top 8, I played against Kelly, and he had like a Metagross, and it really pulled through for him. And so my idea came of a Choice Band non-Mega Metagross, but Choice Band wasn't really the best item for Metagross in my opinion. So I went for Assault Vest, and it was just such a beast. It's so bulky, and it lived like a 5. It was like it could take 3 flamethrowers and stuff like that, and it's just so strong. I don't know. It gave me the priority with Bullet Punch. It gave me also with Zap Boost, 2 strong stab attacks with Meteor Mash and Sand Headbutt, which both gave me the chance of raising my attack or flinching the opponent, and an Ice Punch, which gave me the chance of freezing my opponent. And I can remember in the tournament I got 1 freeze, but 2 freezes, but those didn't really matter. And I didn't get any flinch, but I got 2 freezes, and Ice Punch is just the best filler move for Metagross, since it can also hit Landorus, which I had problems with. And I could like drop Landorus attack with my Salamence Intimidate, Metagross could just pick up a knockout on it. So it was really huge, and it was most likely my favorite Pokemon of this team, since I could play some mind games with my opponent if I go for Salamence and Metagross, but I do not have to Mega Evolve, and can just intimidate my opponent by having 2 potential Megas on the field, and I just liked it, and it worked out really good.
So you actually apply pressure in the team preview as well, with having 2 Megas of the opponent to counter. So okay, since this video is getting pretty long, I'm gonna have a few words to finish it off, and then I'm gonna have a quick rundown of the team. Obviously, I'm gonna put the whole team in the description for you guys to try out and use. So feel free, if you have time on Showdown, just go ahead, copy paste the team, or even build it on BattleSpot if you have time, and go ahead and play. Thank you guys for watching, and leave us a like, comment below. I'm quickly gonna go for the team now. So we have a Salamence, Mega, Double Edge, Draco Meteor, Earthquake, Protect. The spread is down here. A good old Rotom with a T-Bolt, a Hydro Pump, an Electroweb, and Protect. It has a Sitrus Berry. The spread is here again. A Virizion with Lum Berry. It is Close Combat, Leaf Blade, Safeguard, Protect. The good old Entei, the coin flip Pokemon, with Leftovers, Sacred Fire, Stone Edge, the Substitute, and the Protect. The Spec Sylveon with Hyper Voice, Hidden Power Ground, Psy Shock, and Shadow Ball. And the good old Assault Vest Metagross with the Meteor Mash, Bullet Punch, Zen Headbutt, and Ice Punch. So once again, thank you guys for watching, and leave a like and a comment down below what you think on the team, and get it in the description.
Kadoya, and check out the following videos.
Okay, see you next time.